Hey guys, RanterInShades, your exercise my first memorized vlog style. Now, if you've been subscribed to me or if you've been following me for a while now, you'd know that I consider myself a pretty big fucking nerd about the subgenre of metal known as hair metal or glam metal, depending on what you call it. Now, anybody who is a self-respecting fan of that genre obviously would know about the Rocklahoma Festival, which is this annual thing that takes place around this time of year, or in the summer, in Oklahoma City. Now, in my years being really nerdy about this type of music, I've always had this dream, I guess, to make a trip out to Oklahoma and see one of these festivals. A lot of these names in hair metal, big, whatever you want to call them, they're obviously names that you've heard of if you are a follower of this subgenre of metal. You've obviously heard of the bands that play there. Because I am a big fan of these particular bands, then it would make sense for me to have this idea of one day going out to see this festival. Obviously, it's going to be expensive as hell for someone like me to fly out to fucking Oklahoma, but hey, a guy can dream, can't he? Like, for example, hold on, I'm going to go to Wikipedia right now and type in Rocklahoma, there it is, and go to the very first lineup, which was in 2007. I'm going to read off the names that I know, so you get a vague idea of how excited I would be to see one of these festivals. Let's see, they got Lillian Axe there, they got White Lion, Y&T, Slaughter, Quiet Riot, Rat, Poison, Bang Tango, Bullet Boys, Faster Pussycat, Enough's Enough, Firehouse, Warrant, Skid Row, Winger, Dokken, Vince Neil Solo, Britney Fox, Steelheart, LA Guns, Great White, Jackal, Queensryche, and Twisted Sister. All bands that I do consider myself a fan of and that I've been pretty fond of for quite some time. Well, on Facebook today, I received a post from Guns N' Roses' Facebook page, pretty much sharing a picture of the Rocklahoma lineup for this year. And I have the photo right here that I am going to share with you. So, as you can see here, Guns N' Roses is the main headliner, I guess, and, you know, I'll read off the rest of the names. Before I get into that, I don't have a problem with any of the bands listed here. Some I do have problems with, but I'll get to that later. But you think about the bands that I read off back from the 2007 lineup, look at the change that you see here. You're not seeing any more of these hair metal acts that you may or may not have heard of, depending on how big a fan you are of the genre, but now you see this big change here. All of a sudden, you're seeing an abundance of post-grunge and alternative metal acts. Not that there's anything wrong with post-grunge or alternative metal, but that's not what you think of when you think of Rocklahoma. When you think of Rocklahoma, you think of the bands that I read off earlier. Fucking Poison, Firehouse, Steelheart, all those bands. Not this. But let's read off who they got playing here. Aside from Guns N' Roses, they got Alice in Chains, Korn, Bush, Cheap Trick, Bullet for My Valentine, Papa Roach, Skillet, Hollywood Undead, Steel Panther, Askin Alexandria, Rat, Hailstorm, Device, All That Remains, Escape the Fate, Dokken, Clutch, Motionless in White, and Big Wreck. And Big Wreck is like the only band in here that I've really never heard of. Now again, I don't have a problem with a majority of these bands. I actually do like a lot of these bands. And this would be something that I would put down money to go see if the first show wasn't today and was going on for like the next 2 days, if I wasn't as already busy enough. But this does seem like a really good lineup. There are some qualms that I do have with it, aside from the fact that there's a lot of modern acts. Again, there's nothing wrong with modern acts. Trust me, believe me, there's nothing the hell wrong with a band just because they're modern. But what the fuck is Hollywood Undead doing here? What relevance do Hollywood Undead have to hard rock or metal? They're basically Slipknot if you took away everything cool about Slipknot, or they're like ICP if you took away all shock value. And what are you left with? A large group of guys just making these corny fucking crunkcore rap-ish songs. I never liked Hollywood Undead. I always thought they were stupid as hell. Asking Alexandria and Motionless in White, I wouldn't want them here either. I have nothing wrong with Core at all. I've mentioned this before, but they are bands that I could really do without. I do like how Bullet for My Valentine and All That Remains are both here. They're like my two favorites as far as Core goes. And Escape the Fate I also do like. I like their album This War Is Ours. And the rest of the bands here, I like them. I like them a lot to some degree. I have nothing against either of them. A lot of these bands are bands that I would really be interested in seeing live, particularly Steel Panther, my favorite modern act. Other changes that I would make here are Guns N' Roses. You need to get fucking the original lineup back. You need that back. Who gives a shit about Guns N' Roses without Slash, without Duff, without Izzy Stradlin? Who gives a shit about a Guns N' Roses that only features Axl Rose basically being all pompous and douchey and trying to keep himself relevant? Who gives a shit? For precisely that reason, I never want to see Guns N' Roses live. Unless you get the original guys back, or at least get Matt Sorum on drums. You can have the Use Your Illusion lineup. I don't care if you don't get Steven Adler back, unless you really care about how hard he is struggling to find work and keep a band together. I feel the same way about Dokken. I mean, I did get to see Lynch Mob a little over a year ago, actually. I did get to see George Lynch play with them, but come on, let's not kid ourselves. Dokken is nothing without Lynch, and Lynch is nothing without Dokken. They need each other. They need to put their egos aside, resolve this petty shit from over 10, 20 years ago, and just make fucking music together again. Other than that, I have nothing wrong with this lineup, but this is not a Rocklahoma lineup. These are not bands that you would think of when you think of Rocklahoma. When I think of Rocklahoma, I don't think of alternative metal and post-grunge or any of that shit. I don't think of that at all. I think of these hair bands that you may or may not have heard of that were on hiatus or were broken up for a little bit, coming back together to play some shows like Firehouse and Poison and those bands, just coming on that stage and making music for old time's sake. That's what I think of when I think of Rocklahoma. I don't think of fucking Alice in Chains and Korn and those bands. I don't think of that at all. So with that said, what is the point of Rocklahoma if it's not what it used to be anymore? Do I want Rocklahoma to stop? Unless things go back to the way that they used to be, yes. I don't see a point of Rocklahoma if basically what it's doing, it's basically trying to be like the Download Festival, basically just trying to be like those. So those are my thoughts on that. So if anybody's going to this Rocklahoma show, fuck you, I hate you, I wish I could be there, but no. Some of those bands I really don't care to see, but damn, it still looks like a pretty nice lineup. So get your shit together. I'm Shades, and I'll see you next time.